everybody? Welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live. With me, your host and award-winning international Make Every Second Count speaker. Now, I'm very excited tonight. We have my friend Jake Ballentine. He's actually one of my coaches as well. And I look up to the man. Don't tell him, though. And he can hear me right now. But yeah, don't tell him. And then we are going to be talking about how he has overcame obstacles in his life. And I have been through some pretty big obstacles as well. When I was 17, I was in a serious car accident that nearly ended my life. It left me in a coma for 2.5 months and in the hospital 3.5 months. Now, I had to relearn to walk, to talk, to eat, and to drink all over again after my accident. So I know what it is, what it means to go through something, to accomplish something. And I want to help other people accomplish things they want to accomplish in life too. So if you will please help me in welcoming Jake Ballentine.
Hey, Jeff, so glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you in here, sir. It's pretty amazing that you're here, and it's cool too.
Well, it's a little secret. I heard your secret. I heard your secret before, so thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, sir. Now, if you would like to take a minute here and go through a quick introduction, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, and importantly, why you do what you do, and I'll put you up on screen all by yourself.
Okay, sounds good. Well, my name is Jake Ballentine. It's a privilege and honor to be here. As Jeff asked, what do I do? So I run the Speakers, Authors, and Coaches Network, which is a like-minded community of people who all want to make a difference in the world, people who want to go out there and make an impact and an income sharing their message. People like Jeff, we got a lot of great people in that community. But, I'll get into why I do what I do. I'll really get into why. Really, when it comes down to it, I believe that we all have a message. We all have something important. We all have something important for people to share. We all have something important for us to do. We all have something important for us to share. We all have a very important way that we can go out and make a difference. And I believe that if people just say, I am going to make a difference, I'm going to share my message, I'm going to tell people about what matters to me, then we can have ripple effects and we can change the world and make it a better place. Let's see. Jeff there also just said, make sure to tell you where I'm from. So I am originally from Los Angeles, California, born and bred in Los Angeles, California. In the last couple months, we relocated to Idaho. So we've been out here for a couple months and really enjoying it. And I think that was all the questions that Jeff had. Looking forward to having you back on.
Yeah, that was all the questions I had for you. Now, I'm pulling this up on my phone so I can see who's watching, because it unfortunately doesn't show me in this who is watching, and that's kind of a bummer. But as soon as I get this pulled up and turn it down, I will have to say is this video pixelated for anybody else? Because my dad is saying it is.
On mine, I got mine right there. It's not pixelated. It looks great.
All right, cool. Well, I want to say hi to my dad who's watching from across the street. And
Nice.
Hi to my friend Brandy Hutton, who I'm not sure where she's watching from. But you guys should put in the comments where you're watching from. Tell us what you appreciate hearing on this show, and tell us what you're dealing with, what you're looking to overcome, and maybe we can help you out with that. So I have to ask, Jake, I know that in life there are many things that try to stop us. and many things that get put in our way, i.e., the coronavirus. But I have you experienced any obstacles in your journey to becoming this mass icon?
Well, thank you for that. The thing is do I face obstacles? Yes, over and over and over again, and every day there's another obstacle. It's just obstacles are a part of life, and if you're not facing obstacles, in my mind, it means you're not attempting to grow. You're not attempting to move forward. You're not attempting to do any of those kinds of things. So obstacles are just a part of life. But I want to share an obstacle of mine from early on in life. And so this is something that a lot of people experience, but for me, school was not something that I was very good at. School is something I had a big challenge at, specifically with reading. I was considered learning disabled, diagnosed with having dyslexia. And I say considered learning disabled because I don't think of myself as disabled. I don't think of myself in that way now, even though I was told that growing up. At
I have
school,
a saying. I have a saying that there are no disabilities, only different abilities, because I have been told since my accident that I have disabilities, and I tell people all the time that I don't, I only have different abilities. All right, sorry, back to you.
no, 100%. I love that. I spent about 7 years going and speaking to students at high schools and middle schools, and I would share this story, and I'd say something very similar because I was told growing up because I say the same thing, a learning difference. My learning style was different, and it wasn't very conducive to the school system. Just because I had a difference didn't mean that I had a problem. It meant that I have different strengths. But I didn't understand that at the time. At the time, I just thought I was a dumb kid and thought that I couldn't accomplish anything and thought that I was limited by that. I went on to college and I failed out of school. I was put on basically a year-long suspension. You can't come back for a year. And I went, forget about it. I don't want to do it. You guys don't want me to be there. I don't want to be there anyway. So forget about it. I'm out of here. And I went on and I had a mentor in my life who shared something with me that drastically changed my life, that my life never be the same again after this moment. And he started talking to me about school and why I wasn't planning on going to school and these kind of things. And I told him, hey, look, like it's not my fault. I have this, I'm not good at learning, and I have this learning disability and all these different things. And he says, look, what I see is that it got hard and you decided to quit. And I went, no, I didn't. That's not what happened. And he says, no, it got hard and you decided to quit. And he said, this isn't about school. He says, yes, you have learning differences. You might have learning differences, but I see you and you are a smart, intelligent person in a different way. Now, when I look at this, I know that you can accomplish great things. This has nothing to do with school. And what he said to me is, if you choose to not go back to school, you're going to set a pattern for your life for the rest of your life that every time something gets hard, you are going to quit and you're just going to move on. And I went, okay, I don't want that pattern. I don't want to do that. He says, okay, I'm going to challenge you. Go back to school. But this time, get the help, get the tutors, get the support, get everything that you can to get better and better and better at school. And so I went back to school and I gave it everything that I had. And it was harder than it was for other people, but I gave it everything that I had because I wanted to prove to myself that I was able to do this and that I wasn't just some dumb kid. And, if I don't count my GPA from previous, if I don't count my GPA from before, but I just count my GPA from when I came back to school on, I ended up having a 3.8 GPA, which is something I never even thought was possible, graduated from college. And I went, wow, if I could do that, what else could I do? And that all started from that little challenge of saying, I don't think that I'm a very smart person because I was told that. But I learned something really valuable about looking at things and saying, I must. If something gets hard, I can't quit. I got to find a way. I got to find a way.
Yeah. Now, Eric Thomas says his one of his big quotes is, I can, I will, I must. And it's all
Yes.
about achieving that belief in your brain, because once you have that belief, you can achieve anything. So I challenge the audience out here tonight, if you can't figure out a way to get through what you're dealing with, reach out for help. Ask somebody, because there are people like myself, like Jake, like many other people that I've had on this show that are here to help you. And it's going to take courage for you to reach out to us. I understand that, but I want you to take that step. And I want you to know and realize that you can get through what you're dealing with. Check out Jake and his learning differences. He got past them and he achieved something he never thought possible. So, what can you achieve? I have to ask though, Jake, is there any other obstacles that you've had to deal with in building your audience in speakers and coaches network?
Yeah. Look, when it comes down to that, things are actually a lot harder than people make it out to be when it comes to building an audience and, creating a business, creating an online business. People think this idea, I love baseball and I love the movie Field of Dreams, but they say, if you build it, they will come.
It doesn't work.
That's not true. It doesn't work that way. And you have to put in the work. You have to put in the effort. And so I started creating things, and I said, okay, like I'm gonna build this business. I'm gonna build. Look, I have all this experience, and even for a guy like me who had been, I had hundreds of onstage speaking engagements. I'd been hired to speak in 43 states around the nation, and I said, okay, now I want to come and I want to come and I want to create, this community of other people who are speakers, who are authors, who are coaches, who want to go out and make a difference. And I'm going to go and create this. And I thought, it will just happen, because look at all the experience I had, and I'm creating this thing. And that was it. That was my mindset. And, when I first started, I had, a couple of my peers, a couple of friends, a couple of things like that come and join this Facebook group. But then it just kind of stopped and nothing really happened for a while. And I had to learn the principles to be able to grow this audience. And that was something that was very challenging. It was very hard to get through my mind and realize that this was a big part of it, and start learning, hey, I got to connect with these people. I got to connect with those people. But I can tell you that when I say that the business that I have built right now is built on blood, sweat, and tears, well, I don't know if there's been too much blood, but there's certainly been sweat and a lot of tears. And, and what I mean by that is there's huge ups and downs when it comes to building a business. And the buck stops with you. There's no one else to blame. There's no one else to blame. It's on me. It's on me. No one else. This is where this is all coming down to. And that's a big deal to be able to handle that. And I tell people often, if they want to grow as a person, here's a couple things that you can do. These are 3 things that have helped me grow as a human more than anything else I've ever done. And they have been getting married, having a child, and starting a business. Those 3 things, going through the ringer of what happens in those 3 different things that you can do, have helped me grow as a human more than anything else that I've ever done.
Yeah. And getting past things often takes growth, takes you to become something more than you currently are to get through it.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
So I have to say hi to Lady Rochelle Dotson Matheny, to Josh Taylor, sorry. And then Bob Darner, he was my 8th grade homeroom teacher. It's kind of cool to have him on here. And
Love
then
it.
I have to say hi to Richie Hahn, Sam Christian, and Robert J. Moore. And Robert J. Moore is from Toronto, Canada. So this is an international show tonight.
Nice. Love that. That's awesome.
So we've heard stories now about well, they're not story. Well, they are stories, but they're true. We have heard the story of how you were differently abled in your learning and how you went through building a business. So, is there any other things that you are possibly currently dealing with?
Um, there's a very interesting phrase that's said, I've heard it said often. It's this idea of new level, new devil. And
Yeah,
every new level you go to, there's a new obstacle to face. And it's very interesting right now. Um, there's always new things going on, but in my business, I've reached a new level, and it's very interesting. It's very interesting, and I'll talk super open about this. For the first time in my career, I have been facing a lot more adversity with people. People saying things, people writing me about disagreements, people saying some pretty negative things, and it's something that you have to get over and say, you know what, I am now a public figure, and when you're a public figure, you face those things. And it's
yeah,
just interesting because I actually didn't expect it to happen as soon as it did. I expected it later down the road, but things have been really growing in the last couple months, last 6 months. Things just grown, and it's been very interesting to see. And that has been a internal battle. If I'm opening up and being very honest about it, it's been a very internal battle. And you see things that people say, and you say, "Oh, that doesn't matter. That doesn't affect me. I don't care." But of course it does. Of course it does. Of course it affects you. If someone's saying like, "You don't know what you're talking about," or like yesterday on a post, some guy writes about how I'm a con artist. Like, "Oh, don't listen to this con artist. And I'm like, "What? You don't even know who I am. We've never met. We have no connection. We don't even have a single mutual friend. So who do you think you are, and how are we connected?" But I've had to drop that ego, drop what's going on in here, and say, you know what? That's okay that person's going to say those things. They can say those things if they choose, if somehow it makes them feel better about what's going on with them. I don't know. And if I can have a connection. And so what I've started doing is not pushing it away and instead responding to them and saying, hey, with this, hey, I'm sorry you feel that way. I can tell you that what I'm sharing here are the things that have worked for me. And if you want to learn more, come over here. Rather than saying, hey, well, screw you. I've actually been just trying to have the conversation. And that's been the biggest challenge internally right now. Is I've always been a guy that, this might sound arrogant, but most people like me. And I've been used to that my whole life. I'm a very personable person. I like making connections. I've always been very social. As much as I struggled in school with the book stuff, in terms of being social is something I've always been very good at. And then coming and having this experience where over the last, particularly 6 months, that's been a bigger and bigger thing. And now I go, you know what? That's okay. And that's a part of my growth, is to learn that I'm not here to please every single person. I'm here to help the people who want to be helped.
yeah.
And if somebody isn't into that, that's okay. They can go off and do their own thing. I did not expect to talk about that today, but you brought it up.
See, that's what I like doing. I like just kind of pushing people a little bit past where they're comfortable to go, because we know that growth doesn't happen within your comfort zone. So it's better
100%.
if I can help you get out of your comfort zone. That way somebody else might know that they can get out of their comfort zone. And I
Yes.
really appreciate you opening up about that, because that is pretty awesome. And I mean, that will actually help me, because there are people in my world that are kind of haters too. And
Yeah.
I had problems dealing with them at first, and then I just kind of ignored them. But I am going to say, hey, I'm sorry you feel this way. If you don't mind, I'm gonna continue to help people.
Yes, because
Yeah,
what you're doing is so important. And I want to take a second, Jeff, to just recognize you. You know, you're doing something absolutely incredible. At the beginning of this show, you talked about your car accident, talked about what you went through. And so many people would say, you know what? If I have the challenges if I had the challenges that you have, so many people would say the last thing I want to do is speak publicly. The last thing I want to do is to be doing those kind of things. But you said, forget about it. I'm here to I'm here to help people. I'm here to inspire people. And I think it is so inspiring that you are doing this show, that you are speaking, that you're making a difference. And I just absolutely love it. And I want to recognize you for your courage and for your desire to go out there and make a huge difference. I think it's amazing, Jeff.
thank you. Now, I actually went through a time in my life where I say I had a drinking problem, but my dad might disagree with me on that. But I went out every night of the week, including Sunday, to get drunk.
Mm.
Now, people have asked me before why I did that, and they said, "What? Well, was it to deal with depression?" I said no, and they didn't understand. Like, why would you go out and do this to yourself? I said, it's easier to tell people I'm drunk. It's easier to just say, hey, I'm drunk, when people judge me for walking a little funky, talking a little slower, and people don't understand that. They often jump to conclusions, and that is the hardest thing about my journey so far.
Wow. And that's a really amazing thing that you bring up, that you went through that, but bringing it up, and even what we were talking about before, I have a belief that every person is doing the best that they can with their current understanding, with their current experience, with their current life experience. And when you share that story about why you were doing that, now you look up and you think like, okay, I understand why that person's doing that, or you understand why that person's doing this. For instance, um, I used to purposely get kicked out of class before it was my turn to read out loud. Usually right before, like, when you're doing like in school, they would do kind of the snake back and forth to their desks and of like, now paragraph, paragraph, paragraph. I would purposely get kicked out of class before it was my turn to read. Was I really a troublemaker? No, but I was embarrassed about reading out loud. How do I get out of this? How can I get out of this situation? I can get kicked out of class by being a troublemaker, by making jokes, by being disruptive. And so when you realize that, you go, interesting. And you can have compassion for people. So if somebody is saying something negative about you, about me, or whatever, I think it's really our job to be compassionate for these people and say, interesting, I wonder what they're going through. And
Yeah.
not take things personally and say, what are they going through right now? What need are they meeting by doing this? And I'm not saying that's always the case, but like what you just shared there, saying, well, it was easier for me to be able to tell people I was drunk than for me to explain what had happened. And that's just such a great example of that. And I think that we can learn a lot from that by seeing what other people do as well.
Now, I want to take another second here and give a shout out to Lady Rochelle, because in talking about me, when you were talking about me, she says, "Yeah, he's awesome." So,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then I have to point out that Mr. Big Dreamer himself, Greg Walker, said, Jeff is a rock star.
Yes, that is right. That is right.
Yes,
Greg, what's going on? Good to see you here. Glad that you're here, Greg.
and he was mentored by by Dave Thomas of the Wendy's founder. So
Oh, wow, cool.
pretty cool. And I just want to say also, thanks to everybody who watched, and please share this video out. Invite people to watch this video. Start a watch party, because you never know whose life you're going to be able to affect, to change, or to even possibly save by sharing this information with other people. And you could be the hope in somebody else's life. So don't be afraid to do that. But I want to remind you that I'm on every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we have a new guest every week. Well, I try. It doesn't always work out, but I try. But even if I don't, I come on here and talk to you guys. So I just wanted to remind you of that. And I want to take a second here and say thank you to Jake for being here. I know he's a busy guy, and he made the time to be here with me and my viewers. And I hope this episode goes viral and gets a ton of hits. All right. Any final words, Jake?
Hey, our biggest talk here today was about overcoming adversity and about, handling what's going on with you internally. All I can say, and my last words of advice are, you are better than you think you are, and you can do more than you think you can. Yeah. So whatever you're going through, like you can handle it. You can handle it. You can handle it. You can deal with it. And you're so much better than you think you are, and you can do so much more than you think you can. So don't listen to whatever's going on, whatever naysaying voices. And sometimes the worst naysaying voice is inside of your ears. It's inside of your head. It's right in between the ears. We gotta push that away and just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. You got this.
Yes. And I need to ask you guys and Jake for a favor. This week, next week, and for the rest of the year, and for the rest of your life, I need you to make every second count. Why, you ask? Because you never know when the seconds are going to run out on your one life. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And remember, make every second